Welcome back, guys. How are we all going?
This is our very first question and answer, or Q&A, video that we have done because we've been on the road for 12 months now, which we cannot believe.
Yeah, it's so quick.
Yeah, it does not feel like 12 months at all. So we asked you guys to give us some questions that you would like to know, either about us or about travelling full time. So we have them here and we're just going to randomly pick out a question and answer it. So you want to go first one?
In the cup.
In the cup, yeah.
Okay. First one out. Put that away. I haven't got my glasses on.
Oh. Okay.
There's writing on it.
Okay, so this question is from Ariane. I think I've pronounced that correct. Sorry if I haven't. The question is, would you change anything with either your van or your car? Is there something that just isn't right that if you could change it, you would?
The car, we need to do a GCM upgrade. We are 40 kilos over our maximum, which is not much, but we want to be legal. We've already looked into that. We've already gone down to, we're in South Australia, we're close to Adelaide, so we shot into Adelaide a couple of weeks back and went to Dash Off-Road and sat down with the guys there and went through all our options. Once we decide which way we're going to go, we'll get that. With the caravan? I know someone would want to change something with the caravan.
At the cafe seating, especially if you're stuck in the van for days on end because of rain or weather or
which
whatever,
we have been, yeah.
Which we have been. It really kills my back, and I end up bouncing from the seating to the laying on the bed and back to the seating, and yeah. So my ideal van would be a rear club lounge.
Or a club lounge wherever in the van.
No, I want the rear one.
Okay, well, there we go.
That's for me anyway. Yeah. You might like something else, but for me, the rear club lounge, centre bathroom, kitchen, and then the bedroom up the end with a doorway that you can close it off, so if one of us gets up before the other in the morning or the middle of the night or whatever, which happens, we can go down the other end of the van and not wake the other person up. But
basically a whole different van.
That's right. But yeah. I mean, when we first started, we had no idea.
Like everyone else.
Vans, yeah. Exactly. What would be ideal and all that. And really at the time, because we were kind of, what do we call it? Spontaneous.
Yeah.
And decided that, hey, this is what we're going to do and what we want to do. We were renting at the time and gave notice, and we gave ourselves 2 months. Didn't have a caravan. Didn't have the car at the time either when we did that. So it was basically, and we didn't realise since COVID, the amount of caravans at the time that weren't available that were already built. We couldn't wait 12 months because we'd already given notice.
Yeah, totally everything wrong.
That's right.
If you want to do this, don't be spontaneous. Don't do you really need to plan.
Exactly.
That's the number one thing. You really need to plan.
Yeah.
Do your research, not just plan. Do your research. Right. And probably the only other two things for me in the van would be get rid of the AGMs and go lithium. Yeah, and a 240 volt inverter, mainly to if we're off grid. Now that we have Starlink, it's to be able to run the Starlink. I know there is an option out there that they have a power supply, but for the cost of the power supply to putting in an inverter, it's much in the same, and the inverter gives us a few more options if we want to run. And especially if we change up to the lithium, get the more capacity, we can then choose to run the air conditioning off grid for a little while, because not all battery systems will run air conditioning 24/7. But you don't know until you start living in a van full time. You quickly learn, especially after 12 months, what would make it more comfortable for you.
Right.
Did we answer everything on that one?
I believe so.
Your turn.
My turn. Don't be a question hog.
Hang on, I'll found my glasses. Yeah, I'll read it.
Okay, you're going to read it for me, okay.
Yeah. From Tripoz62. His question is, and g'day Triple 62, we met you up in Queensland. Thank you for calling in and visiting us for a while. Question, are you having fun and what is your favourite place so far? Do you like YouTubing now?
Okay. Are we having fun? Yes.
Always.
Definitely. Best thing we ever did. Absolutely. What was it? What's our favourite place?
Yeah, favourite
so
place?
For me, which is unusual because I have the fear of what's lying underneath in water, but my favourite place so far is Bitter Springs. Floating down that water. Once I had my Crocs on, that is.
At Mataranka, yeah.
Yeah, at Mataranka.
Yeah.
Just how relaxing that was. That's my favourite place. What about you?
Yeah. Right at this moment, from where we've been and what we've seen, number one location, I go, apart from the heating up there, it was just the best. It's free. You know, we were staying just outside of the national park. Literally, you could walk in, although in the 42, 43 degree heat. By the time you walk back, you'd be just about cooked. But it was literally a 5-minute drive, park up, walk down to the Bitter Springs, drop your gear, launch off the stairs into the water, and just gently float down with the current to the other end, climb out of the stairs.
For me, because otherwise I think he can just float. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
I think.
I got me inbuilt flotation. Yeah.
And are we? What was it? The last bit?
Are we having? Oh, I know you're asking me. Do you like YouTubing now?
Do we like YouTubing now? From day one when we first started this, it wasn't about, getting subscribers or, earning money out of YouTube. It was basically to record our travels and for family to see what we've done and what we've been doing. Yeah. Bonus that other people happen to like what we're doing and have subscribed and watching our channel. So thank you for those that have.
Yeah, definitely.
It definitely, wasn't our intention to become big YouTube superstars or anything. But also, if we don't feel like putting up a video, we won't. We're not putting that pressure on ourselves to, have one out every Friday of every week. We're just not going to do that.
We've been lucky enough, we have been. We don't go out filming every day. We might only get out 1 or 2 days to film out of the 7 days, because we tend to sit in a location minimum 7 days. There has been occasions we've sat 2 or 3 then moved on, only because we were in transit to another area.
Yeah.
But I've learnt through photography throughout the years, going to different events. I used to do a lot of warbird photography, and you forgot to enjoy the actual where you were because you were seeing it through the lens of a camera. You didn't get to see everything else around you.
That's right.
And that's the thing about YouTube too. If you get that involved in it, for us anyway, in my point of view, is you get to focus on the
getting that right shot.
Yeah, and all that, and you forget to take in where you are and what you're seeing. So,
and even quite often when we do film, not always, but sometimes we go there first, experience it, and then we'll go back and film.
We did that with Innes National Park. We went out there specifically. I took the still camera because I'll shoot off a couple of shots with the still camera, but we didn't take the camera, the GoPro out and film. We actually went out and looked around the area and figured out what we'd like to show on camera as well, and also to take in the national park just for ourselves first of all, to experience it, then come back and say, right, these are some of the areas that we'd like to show. Yes, there was a lot more that we didn't show.
Yeah.
But then,
if
you've got to leave something for
bits that you see that you like, but we've left other bits out. You come and see it for yourself.
That's right. It just gives you a taste of the area to let you decide, I suppose, if you actually want to go out there and have a look. But yes, we are enjoying YouTube. Tracy fights with the computer. I've only got a Surface Pro, which is not really up for the task. It's entertaining. Well, for me, it's entertaining. Sometimes Tracy's swearing and cursing at well, we shouldn't say swear. Muttering under her breath and getting frustrated. But
it's also good because, we're on the road, it gives me something to do, to, learn and progress, hopefully. I mean, I did watch one of our old videos the other day and I was like, oh, okay. So I have learned a bit. Still learning, but yeah.
All right.
Anyway, next question. Oh, to read for you? Okay.
No, I just read that one. I just read that one.
No. All right, this one is... Now, sorry if I pronounce this incorrectly. Leon? Or is it... I think it's Gail and Leon put together. If I'm wrong, sorry, but we've seen your name come up with comments for a long time.
Yeah.
And we thank you for your
input,
your contribution and questions. So, this actually is to me, this question.
Okay, there you go.
So it says, to Tracy, do you drive and tow the van? Okay. So, I mean, I do drive and I have towed vans and boats and things before. So I can do it, absolutely. And this trip, I actually haven't towed the van at all. Get into, I don't know, our mode that I normally just automatically hop in the passenger side, he gets in the driver's, and that's what we do. But
from Adelaide the other day?
Yeah, I drove the car. I may not film driving, but yeah, occasionally I do drive. When we just don't automatically get into our positions, it's just habit, really. But yeah, I do when I can.
Can I try without my glasses? You're right, big enough for me. From Karen. G'day, Karen. Question: How do you get mail and packages, and when you're on the road?
So
that's a very good question.
There is an app. I'll actually film my phone and screen record for you and put it up on the screen here for you. But you get the Post app and
the Australia Post app. Yep.
It's Australia Post app, and what is it? Parcel Collect.
Parcel Collect. Yep.
Yeah, you get into Parcel Collect and you click on it and you look at you can type in the name of the town that you're going to be in. So if you know in 4 weeks' time I'm going to be in Melbourne, for example, or a suburb of Melbourne, Lilydale. You type that in, it'll come up with the post offices in that area. You click on one and then it will automatically generate a address for you. So that's what you put in if you're ordering something online.
Yep.
That's the address you put in.
And that tells the post office that number.
Yeah, and they actually hold it for you for up to 28 days once it arrives.
And then they'll return it if you don't collect it. So it gives you an opportunity, if you're moving to a new location and you're waiting on, or you're going to order stuff, you can get it sent to that post office and they'll hold it for 28 days. And then you go in, you just give them your ID and... that's how we got Starlink and a heap of other packages. And our mailing address, we don't have a house anymore, so I use my sister's house as our mailing address. And every now and again, my elder sister will package up some mail and chuck in a big manila envelope and shoot it out to whatever Parcel Collect address that we're using at the time.
Yeah, right. Next question. This one's from Esme. Question: what do you do if you need Tracy time or Chris wants his time? You're in a rectangle box. How do you deal with that? How do we deal
That's your question?
My question? Well, it's funny because we've been travelling for 12 months, but we haven't really... I mean, occasionally Chris will see someone with a boat and go off or a patrol and go off and have a chat with them and ask about the mileage and things you do, or what they think of their boat, or have they caught anything, or I might end up, I don't know, in a camp kitchen somewhere and looking at books and end up having a conversation with someone about the travels or whatever. But
you've gone, when we're at Walkham, and you've did a big walk of the caravan park and looked at all the bits and bobs around the caravan park, and you don't have to be with each other 24/7.
No, that's right.
It's hard not to be because you're in a small location, and but on the same token, if one of us, and we're close enough to a town, if one of us just wants to shoot into town, the other one doesn't want to come.
Yeah, exactly.
Either one of us will jump in the car and shoot into town. Generally speaking, we both go. But there's been occasions when I've run into town and done stuff, but we haven't found the need. We've been lucky,
No.
I suppose, to
But
have
we're
our own
also,
time.
Like, we're like always been like best friends
Mm.
anyway, and we enjoy each other's company and don't really find the need to, most of the time, to have that extra time away from each other.
Well, as I said, what one can't do, the other one can, and so
yeah,
we're a team.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So we always work as a team, and that's how we get things done. And we're back. Quick extra change. GoPros do not like recording for a long time. They overheat so easily.
Yeah, we've had to pull the battery out. It is so hot.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, next question.
Next question from, and I apologise if I butcher this, from Steflin, Caravan Travels with Dashhound. Hope I got that right. If I haven't, I apologise again. Question. Where to next? Will you be going into Western Australia? Always a good question. Where to next?
We don't know half the time.
Yeah. On this case, we do, because we have, because it's just before the South Australian school holidays and Easter, we have had to make some pre-bookings. So we'll be heading from here. We're currently in Balaclava. Sorry, I nearly said baklava. That's how I remember it. Balaclava. From here, we'll be heading down to Port Adelaide
Yeah, so
area.
Port Adelaide, with that area,
Yeah.
for a week, and then a couple of weeks.
Start heading down onto the Flurio.
Yeah, a couple of weeks in the Flurio, but we've actually got a booking ahead to meet up with Chris's sister at Port Pirie first week of Easter, so that's been pre-planned because they were going on a holiday, and on their way back we're meeting up because it's sort of the closest area that would be together, so that's why we've pre-booked that. Western Australia we plan to do at this stage next year.
Yeah, unfortunately the flooding of the Fitzroy River and the destruction of the bridge has really thrown a spanner in the works. You can't complete the lap, so if you go up, you got to either come halfway down and cut across through the desert, or come all the way back down, which means a lot of the accommodation and free camps and all that are going to be absolutely hammered for people staying there on the way up, then trying to stay there on the way back down. And although West Australia is a massive place, we could probably head into West Australia and do the southern part of West Australia. That will mean being in the southern part in the winter time.
But again, the only other booking that we have already is to meet up with Chris's brother and sister and their partners in Streaky Bay for Christmas.
Yep.
Or just after a couple of days after Christmas for a week. So
Tracy will put in a bit of footage. We'll show you on our map on our door. We've done nearly a complete half lap, and there's only a small section of coastline and that back down towards Port Campbell. Then we'll start hitting some of the interior sections of South Australia, Mount Gambier and all that sort of stuff. So
yeah.
After Christmas time, we probably will be, we will be heading into West Australia
Next year,
after we meet up with family at Christmas time. In the Streaky Bays, you're well positioned to start heading across the Nullarbor. All that can go poof and totally change, and you're heading in the total opposite direction.
Exactly.
So that's the one thing about
kind of the plan.
Yeah, kind of the plan.
All right, next question from Joanne and Jacob. Question: what is the best thing about your new lifestyle, and what is the worst? All right.
Best thing, freedom. You're not tied down to a location. You're not. If you don't like the location, you move. It's as simple as that. And the best thing is, I've seen more of Australia so far than I have in my 54 years of life. People just don't realise how big Australia is and how much there is to see. Yes, I've travelled overseas, and I'm ashamed to say I've seen more overseas than I've seen Australia before I started doing this trip. There's just so much to see in Australia, and that's the best part, is to experience Australia and the different locations and the different lifestyles. And what was the second part?
What's your worst?
Worst part? What would be the worst? Fuel? Yeah, paying for fuel? I don't know. I suppose the worst parts about it is when you are remote, is you really got to try and think of everything ahead of time and pre-plan and stock up, because there's just not. You just can't just go down to the local shops or the local supermarket when you're out away from the bigger cities, because there isn't any. Some of the little towns we've been here on the York, there wasn't even there might have been a little tiny general store which is only open very limited hours, but you had to travel a long way to go to a small IGA. So that's probably the worst thing, is just remembering to have all your supplies organised and bought and purchased and packed before you start heading off somewhere. It's not just a simple of going, well, we're going to go here and go, oh, hang on, we've got to have X amount of food for this day, and we've got to have X amount of water for these days, and stuff like that. So it's a good problem to have, but that would be the worst part, I would say. What about you?
Best part, I agree. The freedom to look at the map and go, where do we want to go today? And that's just so good. And yeah, if we tend to try and give an area at least a week to explore, to get the real feel of it, and pretty much by the 4th, 5th day you know if you want to extend or not, which we have done on many occasions, because there was just so much to see and do that we extended because we enjoyed it so much. The other places, after a week, we're just like, we've seen it, we've experienced it, and it's time to move on. That's definitely the best thing. And or if you happen to end up with neighbours that aren't so good, that we really haven't had that though, have we?
No, not at all.
The whole trip. No. But if you did, you can move on if you wanted to. Worst part, again for me, if we're stuck in the van for the week and trying to get comfortable sitting in the van for a week because it's raining outside, and that can get a bit tough sometimes.
I suppose another thing too, a good part is your stress levels are so much lower. There is still different type of stresses. You gotta worry about weights and cars and stuff like that, but it's not there all the time. It's a different type of stress. It's not like work stress and taking it home and just it feels like a weight comes off your shoulders when you're out here on the road doing what we're doing, and that's probably the number one things. Don't move. There's a spider crawling underneath your feet.
Don't say that.
Okay.
Is it gone?
Yeah, it's gone.
Okay. Should I finish that? Yep, okay. I can't think.
From Oz Lappin. Question: when planning, how many camps ahead do you research, and what are you looking for in a camp?
Okay.
Well, it's sort of like the last question, isn't it?
It's sort of, it depends on a couple of things. One, the time of year. So if you're anywhere near school holidays and you're in a fairly busy area, like tourist area, then you definitely, like for Easter for here, I mean, we haven't even got the second week of the school holidays booked, and I think we're going to struggle, to be honest. We have booked the Easter weekend. We've got that booked, but after that we haven't. But even we could only stay in Kabowie for 2 days because the York Peninsula has it was February when it first started, and it's meant to be the off season, but it's crazy.
It is just so amazing the amount of motorhomes and that on the road and caravans.
Several weeks ahead, and normally if it's off school holidays, we will maybe we usually leave on a Wednesday. We go Wednesday to Wednesday for the week, and
Tuesday night
we usually sit down, or maybe Tuesday during the day we'll sit down and go, okay,
Where we
look at
heading?
wiki
Yeah.
camps or whatever app, and decide where we want to head to next, and then we just start ringing around to book in.
That applies to the low cost camping and the free camping areas. Is a lot of it now is you got to book online, which means you got to be in. We're lucky with Starlink and that we can, but you've got to be in mobile reception areas or have internet to be able to book online. You can't just rock up to a lot of these places now. Even a lot of these places are booked out because they don't take a deposit. A lot of people are booking ahead, but then they don't turn up for whatever reason. And people are like, when we're at Streaky Bay, they brought in that and they limited it to 20 spots, Palibi Beach, and 5 days or 7 days? 5 days.
Yeah.
And it was booked like for 4 months solid, but you go for a drive down there and half those 20 spots would be empty. People just hadn't turned up.
Yeah, so people aren't cancelling, and so that the system
that affects how far you can book ahead when you start looking to where you want to go to.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, no vacancies or not available, and you go, oh, okay, we'll have to change direction now. So
that's right. And the second half of that, what do we look for in a camp? Depends again what we're doing. So like, when we were in Camberwell, we free camped
up at Darwin,
for like 3 days, and it was just, we didn't really have anything we were looking for. Other it was a nice view across the Billabong.
Camberwell, yes, on the Billabong, yeah.
Otherwise, if some days we see the temperature's going to hit 40, we want to go to a caravan park with a pool. Sometimes a little bit of luxury is nice.
And on those days, it's good to know that you got power to run your air conditioner, and like there were days over Christmas time, even on the York, there were days where the air conditioner ran 24/7. It was just so hot. It was even to the point where it was too hot. You couldn't go down to the beach.
Yeah.
The sand is so brilliant and so reflective of that sun. You were cooked in no time. So you tended to go. We tended to look for a caravan park that had a pool. So you could jump in the pool and cool down.
And just remember, everyone's so different.
Yeah.
I mean, some people mightn't mind 40-degree heat and could have no air conditioning, but I like to have air conditioning in that kind of heat.
It comes down to personal preferences and how you want to travel. Yep. Some people prefer to free camp or low cost camp 99% of the time, which is great. If that's what they want to do, that's great. And if you're set up to do that, which we are to a certain extent,
to a degree,
not 100%, but we're probably 80-90% there. And then other people will just go from caravan park to caravan park, which is fine. You got your toilets and your showers. You don't have to always use your caravan, but it's good to have the option to not use a caravan park when you want to.
Don't do it too much because we'll go into our tips.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. I've been told.
Yes.
Oh, you wrote this one small. From Donna. G'day, Donna. Question, was it worth it? In one word, yes.
Yes, absolutely. If you can do it, highly, highly, highly recommend it.
Sooner rather than later.
Don't leave it till your retirement age if you can. Honestly, ever since we've been on the road, if you needed to work, there are so many families that are doing that. They're travelling, they'll stop for a month, work, and then move on to the next place. We haven't been in an area yet that we haven't seen towns and areas that are screaming for workers. As long as you're willing to work and not be too picky about what you want to do.
And the best part about that is, if you don't like the job or you don't like the boss, you aren't stressed about, I've got to keep on working because I need the money. You just move on or change jobs because there is that much work out there.
Absolutely. So if that's the one thing that's holding you back from doing this, you don't need to. And
Yeah.
what we did in Darwin, we did a house sit, so we
Yep.
weren't paying.
It cost us absolutely nothing.
It cost us nothing to stay there.
It helped the couple out.
By looking after their gorgeous dogs. We had a bonus. We had a pool to go in the
Yep.
in the heat, so that you can do that as well. So there are different options out there, and absolutely to make it worth it. If you hate your job, living to work because interest rates are going up, you can't afford your mortgage, or you've got loans and you're full of stress, honestly, truly think about doing something.
It might not be for everyone. Some people might hurt a relationship by being in close proximity in a small box.
Yeah.
So
that's
often
right. Just remember,
that's
if you have a not great relationship before you're in a tiny van 24/7, it's not going to improve it.
in that case, I would suggest doing an extended break, maybe 6 to 8 weeks, and try
Test it out. Yeah.
And that's where we've talked to a lot of people on road, a lot of elder couples. They're saying we wish we'd done this earlier, that to the point where their health wasn't allowing them to get into some of the places they wanted to see, some of the hikes in, or some of the rocks they had to go over. And we're the same. We pick and choose where we go, but they've also got concerns about being remote if for health reasons. They can't wander off too far remote because they've got to always be within a certain distance if they need to seek medical attention. But as far as the question, Donna, yes, 100%. It was more than worth it.
And a tip, any hairdressers out there?
Oh, yeah.
Women? I haven't had my hair cut since November because even if staying in a place for a week at a time, it's hard to get into a hairdresser. So hairdressers on the road, you could work as
We've
much
seen a few of those
There's
now.
been a few in caravan parks,
Yep.
and they are booked out
Yep.
all the time.
Yep.
You could live the life on the road.
And we're back again. Third meltdown on the GoPro. They do not like recording in hot weather.
That's for sure.
Okay, last but not least, last question is from Jeff. And his question is, how do we vote? Which is a good question, and not too many people think about this when you go on the road full time. But basically the short answer is, and the only answer is, if you no longer have a fixed address, you can go onto the Australian Electoral Commission's website and register as an itinerant voter. What that means is you no longer have to vote at state and federal elections. You can if you choose to, but it's actually a lot harder if you go into a polling booth and you say you're registered as an itinerant voter. There's a bit of paperwork they have to do and all that for you to vote. So the short answer is we don't vote anymore if we don't want to, and we're registered as itinerant voters with the Australian Electoral Commission, which means we no longer have to worry about being fined or anything like that by not voting at state or federal level. If you still have a residential address, you still have to vote at council level. Because we don't have a residential address, we don't have a property or anything like that, we don't have to worry about that. But if you have your house still and you're travelling around, you might going to be doing 12 months away or whatever, you still have to vote in council elections. Generally, from Victoria's side of it anyway, generally council elections usually by post anyway these days. So if you're registered to get someone to pick up your mail, they can forward you on the postal voting to your Australia Post chosen Australia Post outlet where you are, as we spoke about earlier, and get that forwarded on. Then you can just post it in. But at state and federal level, register as an itinerant voter with the Australian Electoral Commission only if you no longer have a physical address. And then you don't have to worry about voting.
All right, so that was the end of the questions, but thank you for everyone who
some great questions there.
A question for us. So we'll do those now and again. So every time we put up a video, if you've got any questions, just pop them in and we'll add them to a list for another video one day.